Hi everyone, this is Roel and this is the video for the venture journey for my product worked up for the class L&S C5. So diving straight in, uh, I would not like to say this is a business, rather this is like a newborn child which has grown into a full adult throughout the semester. So diving straight into the first video update. So what happened in week 1 was my main plan was my first business plan was it was called YQ, which is a virtual queuing app that gives pop-up reminders about tasks while holding your spot in line. So the hypotheses of the test that I would conduct that week were virtual. That first one was the virtual queues can get tasks done faster, and the second one was that timing of reminders for small tasks matters. And through the customer interviews that I conducted that week was, so it was basically a list of 10 fixed questions and those two close-ended, so they were only focusing on the two key ideas. So my only learning from that week was that nobody liked to stand in queues, and which was an obvious outcome. So the mistake that I made was that it is a list of questions and not an open conversation. So that was my key learning, that customer interviews should indeed be a conversation and not just a fixed list of questions. Okay, so as a week 2 update, now my product is an infant. So now it's basically the same, except that my customers are now the businesses, not their customer base. The hypotheses for this week were that do customers prefer restaurants with shorter wait times, and the customer interview analysis was that mental anxiety of the uncertainty of queuing is a greater concern than the actual time spent on queuing. And learnings made from the test conducted this week was that YQ provides greater reduction times to family and couples who makes less frequent visits. So the mistakes I made this week was that the hypotheses were not enable kill level important enough to my business. So my key learnings were reframing hypotheses to ones that have a considerable impact if proven or disproven. Right. So at this point, I had a realization that if people want to save up time on queuing, then why would they require me giving them pop-up reminders about tasks? They would either have a task on mind or some purpose in mind, right? And the second realization was that virtual queuing is difficult to implement when people don't show up on time. So let's do a zoom and pivot here. Now my week 3 update, now my product is almost a toddler here. So it's a productivity based app that suggests tasks based on location, energy level and time of the day. The hypothesis for this week is that customers use Facebook and Gmail when they want to kill time before important work or class. And the analysis of the customer interviews conducted this week is that they don't want to stress about what tasks they can get done while queuing. Now learnings from tests conducted this week were that reminders are good, but people tend to ignore them often because they're not free at that time. So the mistakes that I made was wasting too much time thinking on like hypotheses such as licensing of social media interface at this stage, when these are concerns that should be saved for later stages, at least after the MVP is tested, right? So moving on to week 4, my product is almost in kindergarten now, and it's basically the same as before. The business model, the hypothesis for this week is that the integration of this app as a feature of Instagram and Facebook will boost productivity levels of the customer base, hence a solid selling point for them. And the analysis of the customer interviews conducted this week is that the customers say that they wish somebody could compile all their tasks from emails, phone calls and text into one space. The learnings from the test conducted this week were that not being able to follow schedules is a confidence breaker, and people realize this after they spend 30 to 40 minutes on FB or mail. So the key learnings from this week are that not planning tasks is an indirect cause of reduced accuracy, as you do not know how much time to spend on each task, so you rush through tasks. Moving on to week 5, my product is almost in elementary school now, and it's basically the same as before, except that you have the option of having an email or social media interface. The hypothesis this week is the order of the tasks based on the above 3 criteria will affect task ignorance rate, and the customer interview analysis is that customer moods greatly influence productivity levels. So I would like to integrate this to not affect the AI customer choices that my app makes. And the learnings from the test conducted this week is that organizing tasks as colorful Instagram cards could boost productivity levels of customers. So the key learnings from this week were that Kai Kawasaki's 10-20-30 rule can be applied uh, to to my social media card interface, that is 10 groups of tasks, 20 minutes per work session, and 30 font size. Now week 6 update. Now my product is in middle school. It is a productivity based app. So it's basically the same as before. The hypothesis this week is that people unconsciously work faster when competing with others, and the customer interview analysis, consumers will forget to schedule some tasks, right? So I have to integrate that in the app. And the learnings is that my hypothesis from last week failed, so I'll conduct that all three criteria were not important. So I've now decided to conduct an A/B test to determine which two of these three criteria are important. Key learnings are that personalization of process is a great customer acquisition strategy. Week 7 update. Now my product is in high school, so it's a productivity based app that suggests tasks based on location, energy level, and time of the day. So basically the same, but it now also has an option friendly competitor mode, right? So my hypothesis this week is an A/B test and the customer interview analysis, that there is no formal deadline, flexible completion date for some tasks. So app will generate permutations and combinations of such tasks. And the learnings from this week is that employees perform 38% faster when they were competing with opponents, virtual opponents, right? So the key learnings is that best way to gauge consumer interest is a product demo. Moving on to landing page and marketing video, it's basically like an applying to college phase. So I tried to test out features like minimalistic design and asked for consumer feedback, gathered a positive response, and multiple calls to action were there on the landing page. Moving on to MVP creation, it is like getting the first acceptance to college, and with a simple to use and convenient interface, it answered the question, if will consumers be willing to lose their authority and trust my algorithm for the order of their tasks. And I achieved an 82% success rate. Lastly, pitch deck is like a Berkeley decision day, and my key learnings from this was that quantitative estimates and traction are very important. Only qualitative points doesn't make an effective pitch. So as I hope, like Berkeley, like this is the decision day for Berkeley, right? So as my startup and I both hope that I've convinced you to getting into Berkeley and to being there at go to market day. Thank you.